Hello, it's Nicky and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad so many of you are loving the interviews and thank you so much for sharing, rating and reviewing. I so appreciate it. Anyway, I wanted to continue the conversation of success. So often we hear the extremes, don't we, of rags to riches, homeless to billionaire, sleeping on a random sofa to a blinged up palace. But what about the in-between bits? I know personally I have had many. How do you get from A to Z? But also, how do you get from A to B or F to M? In these mini episodes, I want to provide questions to ponder, ideas that might spark a brainstorm, or raise topics that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but they will support you to go to the next level of your business. As always, please come over to social media at Nicky Raby, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and breakthroughs. In today's episode, I'm talking about having lots of different income streams because at the last count, I have about 15 different income streams. And when I mentioned this a little while ago on Instagram Live and asked for feedback of what would be really interesting and useful for you, that was one of the most really popular topics that popped up in my DMs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this today. We're all friends here, so just to say, I'm not saying this to show off. I'm not saying that I've got all this figured out all the time and I'm living this perfect life. I just thought I would start with that because I really want you to know that I'm coming from a place that I am saying this is what works for me. And also there will be an opportunity for you to create something as well. So if it's possible for me, it's possible for you as well. And like with business, of course, there are busier months, there are quieter months, there is stuff that goes on at home, there is stuff away from work that requires your attention. So I just wanted to begin from that kind of place and to know that definitely we are all a work in progress. So as it stands now, and as I introduce myself as an actor, a coach, writer, speaker, and a podcaster. And those are sort of the main 5 branches of my brand. I always feel really cringy saying that, but I'm just kind of going to go with it for now. I hope you understand. So I earn money from acting and coaching, and I guess those things I want to touch on first and foremost. So I trained as an actor many, many years ago. I moved to London in 2000. I did a 3-year acting degree. I left 5 months early because I got 2 jobs back to back and an agent, and I was a bit of a rebel as well, so I was good to go. So that, I guess, is my training of how I began. And then in 2012, I decided to coach and to train as a coach. I'd been doing quite a bit of coaching already because at that time I was working as an agent's assistant and I kind of became really good at it really quickly. And it was an opportunity to use my entrepreneurial spirit and help people to strategize where they were going next. However, I really wanted to validate that and get certified, and I then did a diploma with the Coaching Academy for a year. And it was full on. I had to do a lot of sessions. I had to do a dissertation of 10,000 words. I had to write up all my sessions. I had to attend live trainings. It was a big old year commitment. So since qualifying and since being present across the internet and on social media and getting out and about when my introvert self lets me, that coaching qualification and the content that I provide has led to other streams of income. So writing for other publications or perhaps speaking events, whether that's running an event for somebody or me running the event or speaking on a panel, all kinds of brilliant things. And then also the podcast as well. So there are opportunities that do come in because somebody's listened to the podcast, and there can be other kinds of collaborations in lots of different brilliant ways. So I guess those are the main ways that I define myself. And of course, when I'm talking to people, I don't necessarily need to give them the whole spiel that I'm giving to you now. If I know that somebody, for example, wants to hire me as an actor, I go much more into my experience in that field rather than saying, yeah, I just once did this panel show and it was great. So I really focus on thinking about when I need to say what I need to say, as it were. Before I move on, I just thought I'd go into a bit more detail in terms of coaching. So my qualification has allowed me to follow that formula of one-to-one coaching or small group coaching or going out and about and doing bigger events. But also it's led to me harnessing the internet and really understanding how I can create passive income for myself. Now, not all of the income that I make in terms of courses is completely passive. A lot of my courses, there is very much a part of me that is still there and present and doing work for the money that is provided, as it were. But what I've been able to do is package up what I know about, what my clients ask me all of the time, and package it up so it's something that somebody can buy. And this was absolutely key for me in realizing that not everybody needs to work with me one-on-one. And arrogantly, I thought that they did. If I was going for that transformation, I wanted to be there, holding their hands, supporting them all the way. But certainly there have been times over the years when I've purchased courses or read books or listened to audio programs or purchased products, whatever it might be, that haven't involved me leaving my sofa, but I've had huge amounts of value from that. So certainly if you're stuck in a place where you're exchanging time for money, there will be different ways in which you can work. I know it's a really popular topic at the moment, and you may have some limitations on that, thinking, I'm not sure if that will work for me, or I'm not good at technology, but please stick with me on this one. And I'm going to leave some links in the description box of ways that I can help you in order to do this. I am definitely not the most technical person, as in I didn't grow up with the internet. I didn't read blogs. Like, we listened to the radio in the morning and wore shell suits. I am a kid of the 80s and 90s. So certainly the internet was not part of my educational years. And it has been something that I've figured out along the way. That is not to say I haven't made some big old stonking mistakes or just kind of spent money in places where I really shouldn't have. So I'm now at a place where I really want to talk about this topic because I feel like it's important and I want you to know that it's accessible to everybody. Now, the reason that I first came to this moment was I had this realization after a little while that exchanging my time for money does not work for me. And I kind of knew this for a lot of years in the way that when I left drama school, I knew that I wasn't going to have that consistent income. In order to be a successful working actor, you have to be available for last minute castings or moments where suddenly you get that phone call on a Friday night at 6 o'clock and they say, right, you're flying on Monday. So to be able to then phone an office or wherever you're working and say, oh, sorry, I'm not coming in next week, it's going to lead to all kinds of complications. So this is something that pops up for actors all the time. They need that income to come in so it can support their career, but also support their lives. You know, they're not just being a thespian all the time. They need to pay bills, they need to eat, they need to do all of the things. And one thing that I found for many years, because I worked as an agent's assistant for 5 years, was if I'd plotted this on a graph, that my acceleration in terms of my career and my results that I was getting for clients was going up, but the actual space and the time and the energy that I had for my own personal goals and my own personal dreams was definitely going down. And one thing that I realized was it was going to be very easy to continue in this way, to keep getting results, to keep working hard, to keep progressing and developing. And I suddenly came to the point where I thought, oh, this is not where I wanted to go. This was not the big dream. And what I was actually doing was supporting and creating other people's dreams for them. And then when I would go home at night, I would have that realization that I wasn't progressing myself. I wasn't nurturing what I wanted to actually do. And the auditions still came in, few and far between, but they were there. And what was happening was then if I needed to go for a casting, I would take 3 hours out of the day, you know, an hour to travel in, an hour to cast, an hour to go back to the office. And then I was having to shuffle around and make up the time elsewhere. And so I was always in this point of just feeling like I didn't have that creative headspace. And certainly since And certainly since having my son, I've really understood what that looks like and how I can no longer just exchange my time for money. I really want passive income to be part of my income structure as well. Also, as well, with having a freelance partner, we don't like necessarily to be reliant on somebody else's schedule. We want to work to the beat of our own drum, I guess, and the schedule that we want to have for our lives. So the 9 to 5 model doesn't necessarily work for us all the time. There are days that we want to be there in the day for our son or to have that flexibility. And sometimes it is that moment that we're going to be working into the evening or working early in the morning. And that's okay, I guess. That's okay for us. We really don't mind. We love what we want. We love what we do. And the payoff of that flexibility is enough of a reward. The third realization that I had was I realized that I was supposed to be a business owner. There have been times when I've gone into organizations to do various talks and it is so slow. I'm not naturally a patient person. I do get that energy and that excitement for an idea. And when I do, I really want to run with it. What I never want to do is submit something and then get the yes 6 months later. I'm like, I could have done it and sold it and gone for it. And I just kind of have that energy and that enthusiasm for it. However, if you're reliant on other people all of the time, you have those constraints in place. And I had to realize, because I knew that I had the skills and these sort of leadership qualities had always popped up and down all of the time, is that I was supposed to be a business owner. Now, the second part to that is that sense of giving yourself permission. It's okay to want what you want. It's okay to say, yes, I want to lead a company. Yes, I want to earn a lot of money. Yes, I want to have power and control and all of those things that maybe are negatively spoken about, especially if you're a woman as well. Also, I want to touch on the fact that I like to make decisions and I like to tweak accordingly. One thing that I learned, and I really only learned it by looking at it in the face and really dealing with it and really tackling with it, is that not everything is going to be perfect all of the time, and everything is a work in progress. When I launched my course back in April, which is the most expensive course that I have in terms of a group program, I launched it in April. I was really happy with it. People signed up. People got great results. I really got to know the clients. I really got to be part of that process and their learning and their development. However, I'm recording this in September and I've just launched the 4th round of this. It's vastly different. And I'm going to be honest, I've re-recorded the whole entire course. I've changed technology, I've reworked the sales pages, I've tweaked things, I've got rid of stuff, I've upgraded things, I've spent money on more stuff. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have to be open to that. If I'm going to live in this way and I'm going to continue in the way that I want to, I have to be open to the fact that not everything is going to be perfect all of the time, but also be open to the fact that I can tweak stuff. Things can be figured out and worked through and reshaped as and when they're needed to. Another point I wanted to make is that I have lots of interests. So I love acting, I love writing, I love speaking, podcasting, coaching, all of the things. And I didn't really realize this until I met Marie Forleo. I've never met her in person, but when I met her online, and she talked about this sense of being multi-passionate. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, that's what I am. I like doing lots of things. I like having lots of strands to my business. Now, there are interests that I have, such as exploring or tourist spots or going to the beach or cooking or yoga or running. All of these elements I don't make any money from. And certainly they're not supposed to be the business for me. I'm not the expert in those terms. So what I really want to say on this point is that you can have lots of interests that make you money, but also you can have lots of interests which are hidden and maybe behind the scenes and people don't know about you, and you can just enjoy them for what they are. Another way that I knew that I was destined for different income streams was that I can't apply for the jobs and the life that I want. So if 10 years ago I typed into LinkedIn a job search of really describing what my dream life and my dream career would look like, it would be really hard to come up on the search engines because people weren't describing the kind of life that I wanted to have. So in some areas it has been quite slow. There hasn't been necessarily a blueprint that I've been able to follow. So one thing that I've really had to do is to try things out, is to be consistent, is to do the work, the brainstorming, the goal setting, the creative side of things, to actually get really clear on what it is that I want to do. And I've almost in a way had to create it first, and now I've created it and it's cooking and it's up and running and all those great things. People are starting to follow and really engage with this. For me, also having different income streams, it takes the pressure off. I know there are some fantastic coaches out there who run really in-depth, detailed courses, and they charge a premium for these. So there may be somebody who's looking, to work with 15 clients a year, and they want to charge them 10 grand each, and you work with them for the whole 12 months. But then at the end of it, you as the coach have turned over 150 grand. For me, searching for those people who have 10 grand and they're good to go and they're my ideal client and all the rest of it, that for me feels like a stretch in order to be able to do what I want to do. And because coaching isn't my only source of income, I am not in the position currently, and it may change later in life, where I want to offer those really high-end programs where I can create that space and that hub for people. It's just not aligned to where I'm at and my circumstances at the moment. So for me, because I have consistent monthly payments that need to be paid, bills and nursery fees and household stuff and feeding my child and clothing is all of that, I want to take the pressure off and have different ranges of income streams so I can work in that ease and flow in the way that I really like to work, where it's not stressed, it's not chasing, it's not hustling, it's not forcing people into the sale when they're really not ready. It's not using sleazy marketing techniques. I want to have this ease and flow to my business. Also, I want to make a lot of money. I don't want to have a cap on my income. I never want to start in January and kind of know what I'm going to be making by Christmas, because I do have that shiny object syndrome. I am going through, and especially because I'm going through this sort of up leveling at the moment, I am going around my house going, oh, I think we need some new bed sheets, or I'd really like to upgrade these pillows, or simple things. Oh, I think I need a few more new wooden spoons. And knowing that by doing this, I can welcome income that is exciting and that is unexpected sometimes, and that can work around my family is really lovely. I questioned whether I was going to share this or not, but I feel it's really important to, just so you know that this is possible for you as well. Yesterday, I recorded a podcast in the morning. I then had an exciting meeting. I then had lunch with my family. Then I went to the supermarket and did a supermarket shop and popped into my mum's and had a cup of tea. I then came back and did a few emails, and then my partner and I took our son to the park. I came home and then I cooked a dinner, which my son did not eat. He just wanted Weetabix, but it was fine. Anyway, it was that point where I just spilt some porridge oats all over the floor because I was trying to put them in the thing, and my phone pinged. And then within a few minutes, because I didn't sort of look at it again, within a few minutes it pinged again. And it was 2 sales. And the 2 sales were from 2 lovely women who I don't know that well, but I know that they're sort of in my social media world as well. And in that 40 minutes, almost £1,000 was going to drop into my account. I'd made 2 sales whilst not being in the room, whilst not having a conversation, but making my business work for me. And I was doing something as unglamorous as cleaning the floor in that moment. But again, I want to reiterate that this didn't happen by chance or by accident or just kind of I was lucky. I do the work when I need to. I'm always showing up. I'm always giving free content. I'm creating things, but I am making those opportunities to work with me. So when that lands, it can be when I'm not necessarily in the room or I'm not on the phone to somebody going, right, okay, cool. Do you want to sign up with me? So I just want to know that that is possible for you. And when you tap into that, there is the potential for some big old money as well. And one final point on this is that I've realized that having done this and got to this point where I have these different income streams, there's other stuff that I want to do. I want to create products. I want to do some collaborations. I want to build stuff. I want to work with companies. There's so many different things that I want to do. I want to open a production company. I want to buy my dream house. There's so many elements to this. And I think this is the thing, that if you can tap into the stuff that's really working, the stuff that's possible for you, other stuff will start to seem much more possible, because it's about building momentum as well. So I just wanted to kind of give an overview of how that looks. How does this all come to life and work logistically? So number 1, I get really intentional about the life that I want. I do all this goal setting stuff. I brainstorm, I daydream. I really go into detail about my life, what I'm good at, what I want to do on this earth, what lights me up, what I don't want to do. And I think sometimes when we feel stuck or we're not quite sure what the next steps are, it's really important to flip it around and going, okay, so I don't quite know what I want, but what is it that you don't want? What is really not working for you now? And start to make that commitment to yourself to be really intentional about your life, about where it's going, what your measures of success are going to be. And if you feel like talking about your whole life as a whole is too stifling or overwhelming, just think about the next season. Think about between now and Christmas. Think about next year or the next 5 years or the next month or week or day, whatever works for you. But make that commitment to be really intentional about your life. Don't just let yourself say, we'll wait and see, or I'm not really sure, or we'll see if I get lucky. I don't want you to be passive anymore. I want you to make a decision. And even if you don't know what the whole thing is and how it's all going to play out, I want you to start dipping your toe in the water. Also, I get really clear about what is important to me. What are my values? What lights me up? What are the rooms that I want to be in? What is the difference that I want to make? Who are my ideal clients? How do I want to spend my time? All that lovely stuff. I also measure that how I want to feel with what is going on right now. So there are some times when my partner is away for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time, and I still need to continue my business and making money and paying my share and living in the world. You know, let's not gloss this over. We all have bills to pay. So also there is this element, not just staying in that sort of dreamlike state of thinking about what I want, but also I question what's going on. So there will be times where you have that space, you have that like, right, let's go, let's accelerate this. You can go all in. But also there are times where you can step back and you can pull back, or you make that choice to do so. Next year, I really want to take August off. August wasn't a brilliant month for me in terms of payment, as in, it didn't accelerate my business particularly. Everything kept ticking over, but it wasn't one of those moments where I was like, ooh, let's do this, this and this. Nobody was really around, and actually what I found is it's probably easier if I stop and just take the time off. I spoke about this also in terms of the seasons. So I've got a list of things that I'm working on between now and Christmas. And this has been really brilliant in terms of helping me make decisions. So if it's a yes or if it's a no, or like I need to kind of push it back and not be focused on it. So once you know what you're working on this season, it will help you to make decisions about how you're spending your time. I don't know about you, but I get invited to a lot of coffee dates, or do you fancy doing a lunch, or we should really catch up. And that's all lovely, but sometimes when your time is really limited and you're trying to build something, having 4 hours to have a coffee that is not really structured with people can be a really non-effective use of your time. Sometimes it's brilliant, but sometimes that could be condensed into a half-hour FaceTime. So there are lots of different ways that you can do that. Okay, let's talk about numbers. So I know my numbers. So I know what I need to make, as in what are my general bills that are cooking most months. So I get really clear about what my outgoings are, where I'm spending money, where I should be spending money, or maybe where I should be spending less money. And I really make it a commitment to check my bank account every single day. And I really learned this the hard way because I was a victim of fraud last year. And it really flattened me, actually, that money could be taken out and I didn't feel in control. And actually the great thing about that was I discovered it early and I clocked it, so I was able to act fast. And I was very grateful because actually, had I not done that, it would have been very difficult to be able to spot it. Also, I consider about what are the additional things that I want to bring into my business. So over the years, there have been times where I've really upgraded my technology, or I've moved to a new system or a program, or when I joined a members club. I really got clear about what the additional things need to come into the mix, and they need to be factored in as an expense as well. It's not just like, oh, la la la, we'll just see what happens. When I joined to become a member of this members club where I do my coaching, I really had to look at it logically, like, okay, in order to make this, how many of these do I need to sell? Again, let's not glamorize this. We have to look at it practically. Also as well, what I'm working towards. So I do have a bigger goal and a bigger vision of maybe holidays we're working towards, or my dream house, or a piece of furniture we're looking at buying, or when we're going to go on a holiday, all of these things. So I really think about what I'm working towards and then consider what my stretch goal is, because I hear it so often from my clients that they just say that they want to pay bills. But I really want to encourage you to stretch yourself, to know that you are capable of so much more. Okay, I have to get excited about what I say yes to, what I say no to, and not right now. And I have to be really firm about this. And the way that I often do this is, am I excited about it? Because I know when I'm in that place of feeling good and excited and creative and curious and all of that good stuff, that's when I make really savvy, great decisions. And that's when those other doors start to open, because I'm in that flow, I'm in that ease of my business, and I'm really enjoying myself. Payments. Let's talk about this. So I know my payment conditions and I state them. I'm never afraid of sending invoices or saying, here's how you pay me, because you just can't. You can't be wishy about what. And because you can't be wishy-washy about these things. Now, of course, there could be that sense of thinking about the practical sense that you might be like, yeah, of course, if they owe you money or they want to pay for something, then they have to do that. But I know so many women and clients talk to me, and I've been in this boat myself, this sense of, but is it cheeky to ask for the sale? Or I don't want to seem like I'm chasing money. So what I do is I create things on my website. I make things really clear of how you pay me, what it looks like, what the conditions are, what people are going to get next. It's really clear and transparent. So instead of doing that emotional back and forth, often I can just copy and paste a URL and let people in that way. I have reliable technology. Of course, there's been times when I haven't had reliable technology. I've always done the free option or the trial option, or I've been hopping between several options. And I'm now at a point where I'm like, I have to have reliable technology. And for the most part, I have to pay significant money for it. And significant can be however you want to describe that. But certainly I've made incremental leaps as I've gone, because I don't want that moment at 4 o'clock in the morning where somebody purchases something from me and I'm getting a barrage of emails of like, I can't get in, I can't log in, I don't know what this is all about. I want it to be easy peasy. I check in with my blocks. I always talk about this. Yes, you can have all the strategy, but you have to figure out your mindset. You have to keep a check on that. What's holding you back? Where are you limiting yourself? Where are you finding those sticking blocks that you just can't move beyond? I check in with them all the time. I work on my mindset. I really try and develop myself in the best way possible. Also, I say I'm available. I'm available for work. I would love to do that. Let me know if you need anybody else. All of these sort of, hi, my sign's outside, and come and join me. I send people to links. I give people a call to action. Never assume that people are just going to come over to your website, just for jokes. You have to make it easy for people to pay you. You have to make it easy for your potential customer to understand what it is that you do and how they can pay you. I can't reiterate that enough. 3 more things. I do what I say I'm going to do. So many people don't. And also there's this coolness as well, especially when you're in motherhood, of, being a bit shambolic and all over the place and So I have been in that place, absolutely. I'm not a perfect mother, please don't think that. And I'm not a perfect business owner either. But I do know when I'm stretched, and I do know when I need to pull back. And that goes back to saying yes and saying no, and being able to actually carry that out. Finally, I get support. I learn from those who have done what I want to do. I'm really engaged and I'm always developing things, and I'm always looking for the next thing, the technology. How are people doing it? I remain open and curious and inquisitive about those things. I never rest on my laurels, which I guess is a bit of a tricky thing as well. But I'm always looking at ways that I can develop myself. And finally, wiggle room. Give yourself wiggle room. Don't back yourself into a corner where you're so stretched. If you're saying to somebody that you'll be there in half an hour, when you know that journey takes 45 minutes, give yourself the space to have self-care as and when you can. And it's not indulgent, it's not selfish, it's much needed, especially if you work for yourself. You need that time away from your desk to reflect, to consider, to look at ideas, to feel creative, to reflect, all those good things, and they are equally important hours as well. Also, organisation. This is something that I really have to work on, because I'm not naturally that sort of Virgo personality of everything being like a white box and perfection and all the rest of it. So get organised wherever you can. Have a shared calendar with your partner or your close friends and family. Don't be afraid to accept help if people offer it to you. It's so much easier when you have help. But also it's so tempting to go, I'm doing this all on my own, I'm a martyr and I'm brilliant. No, accept the help and it will be good. And finally, make sure you eat and drink regularly. I'm not necessarily talking about wine, but yeah, that is lovely to have on a Friday night or whenever you choose, no judgment. But make sure those basic things are in place, that you're moving your body, that you're sleeping, that you're eating. It sounds Billy Basic, and they are. But I know when that doesn't happen for me, things go off kilter. And I am doing this after 3 years not really sleeping. And it's just annoying now. It's kind of part of the process of having a young child, I guess. But it's not something that I wear proudly as a badge. I do want sleep because I do know the benefits of it. So anyway, that's the end of today's episode. I would love to hear from you. Please email me hello@nickyraby.com, or you can message me on Instagram. Just connect with me there. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and what kind of came up from you and where you're up to in your business. Are you looking to diversify a little bit? Are you looking to have some passive income options? If so, please come on over and I will point you in the right places. I have some free blogs on this, I have some courses, and also I have some one-to-one options and events and all kinds of good stuff. So please let me know specifically what you need help with, because then I can help you and serve you in the best possible way. And don't be afraid, as I always say, to ask yourself these open questions, you know, the ones that start with what and who and where and how, and it really gets your brain into that solution-based situation. That's it from me today. Thanks so much for listening. Please tag me wherever you are on Instagram, where you're listening, what's going on for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening as always. If you do want to rate and review and subscribe over on iTunes, or even share it with a friend, I would love it. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to find out more about me and how we can work together, please go to nickyraby.com or connect with me across social media @Nicky Raby. I'll see you soon. Bye.